Tune into Radio St. George 100.3, Fridays at 5. Are you experiencing relationship pain and chaos? Are parenting struggles keeping you up at night? Do you feel stuck and not personally progressing? If you are balancing on the edge and need a little help from your friend and relationship fitness coach, tune into Radio St. George 100.3, Fridays at 5, Saturdays and Sundays at 6:30. Matt Eschler and his team of experts will give you what you need. Call Matt Eschler at 688-1111 or go to his website, matteschler.com, to share thoughts and show topics that you would like to hear. And welcome to another edition of the Counseling Experience. This is Dr. Matt Eschler coming to you live at the KDXI 100.3 Dixie State University radio station. And glad to be here. I'm trying a different microphone because the other one is springy, and I don't like springy at all. I'm using a microphone that's a standalone. See, some of you can see it now. And it is a little tall because I'm so short. It's one more example, and they're telling me that this is the shortest it will go, so I'm going to give it a shot. What I keep doing is that other one gets in the way, and I can't function very well. But that's all right. Today we're going to do a show on trust. Trust isn't going to happen by accident. I want you to think about that. Trust will not happen by accident. It is something that is cultivated. There are some scientists that will explain that trust is mathematical, that you either add to the trust bank or you subtract from the trust bank, and it's really black and white. There's no gray in there, that you're either building trust or you're hurting trust. Now, we're going to talk about some of the nuances of that, like the difference between fact and opinion. The difference between fact and opinion is simply my opinion is that this shirt fits too tight up around my neck, and so I will unbutton this top button, see, like that. And then now it feels good. That's my opinion. Now, someone might look at me and say, he's trying to look like one of those Vegas show guys, and he's shown well, I don't have any hair on my chest, but he's undoing his shirt down to his belly button. I don't like that. I don't trust that as much. So two people's opinion can actually start to erode trust if they don't communicate well. Now, facts are different than opinions. Facts are things that are just true. The truth about this whole scenario with my shirt is there is a button that can be done up or undone. That's fact. We can't argue that. Like, I got a button, it's undone, now it is done up. Whether it's too tight or too loose is people's opinion. We need to be wary in relationships when we want to build trust. Then what we want to do is we want to explain our opinions clearly, and we want to understand the facts clearly. And the only way to do that, people, is to talk, you have to talk. And so one of the things that I'm challenging us to do right now with all of this is really clearly figure out how to communicate with each other, how to communicate clearly, how to watch out for some of the pitfalls in communication. I am trying to make sure that we have speakers. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. That was supposed to go through the live feed. I don't think it is, so I'm going to go like this. Maybe Jake can hear me now. Point about all of this is that we want trust. We want people to count on us. We want people to trust us. And if we want that, then we have to take a look at our behavior. We have to take a look at the way we communicate with each other, and just really, hopefully, move it to a level that is at so high of a level, so top notch, that we can earn the trust of the people around us, so that we are without question in our intentions and our behavior. One of the things that stops that, I want to tell you, one of the first things that'll stop that is sharing your opinion as if it's a fact and being stuck there, like no, my shirt would be uncomfortable on anybody, and I don't want any argument about it. See, that would be a trust eroding thing, because what if someone disagrees with your opinion? Now, again, you can't argue with the fact that there's a button there that can be loosened up by being undone or done up,
but whether it's appropriate or not is open to opinion. So a lot of times if we share our opinion as if it's a fact and then club people with it, we push people away that aren't quite on board with us, and maybe we draw people around us that are like-minded, but then life gets a little bit boring, and that's not always really the wisest thing to do. The other thing that gets in the way is not explaining our opinion, not talking through it, and not giving the other person an opportunity to share their opinion and equally empathize with that. Imagine two people sharing their opinion that is different and then really coming to grips with, we have a different point of view. We even disagree wildly on some of it. But in the end, we can be friends and we can talk and we can share ideas and we can share the nuances of our ideas and we can like each other even though we disagree, because we have such respect for each other. We have such respect for the conversation that we're stimulated by that. We're excited by it. We're anxious for another one. And that's so much different than being stuck on a position, stuck in being right. You know, in the political environment out there, sometimes people are so polarized that they get stuck in this, my opinion of right or left is exactly the way it has to be. And any deviation from that, well, then you're just stupid, or you're just a dummy, or you're just a big idiot that just shouldn't even be allowed to talk. See, that's the kind of stuff that you start to lose trust. Even like-minded people start to be wary of someone that has such polarized views and they're so stuck on their one opinion. So what we want to do is we want to communicate. One, we want to draw people to us by being able to hear their points of view, right? We want to hear their points of view, and we want to really empathize with their point of view, really understand it by asking key questions. And it's not like in a big rush. A big rush would be me sharing my opinion with you without asking you what you think, not getting you involved in the conversation. So many people are so afraid that they're going to have a huge argument that they work both sides of the street. They work my side of the street and their side of the street. They're so intent on winning the argument that they speak for you, right? Have you ever been in that situation where, well, you just think that everything I do is wrong, you know? And whenever, like, a spouse says that to another spouse, well, you just think everything I do is wrong, and that's why we always fight. That the talking spouse is working both sides of the street. They're telling their spouse how they think, and then they're telling them how it feels. And if I don't believe what they said, but they feel like it's true, they're having those churned up feelings toward me without my participation whatsoever. And how often have we done that to each other? Like, I teach this stuff, and I'll do that to my wife. I'll do that to my friends. I'll do that. I'll speak for them because I'm so sure I know what they're thinking, and that it bothers me or that it hurts my feelings. That I'll speak for them, and then I'll share how it feels, not getting them involved in the conversation. So that's what we're talking about today. That's what this show, 100.3 KDXI, we're going to talk for another 40 minutes or so. So sit back and relax and enjoy that. This is Dr. Matt Eschler with St. George Center for Couples and Families. We've recently merged my company called the Counseling Experience with St. George Center for Couples and Families. And we've got one really kind of cool facility now where we have some work where we do with domestic violence. We have some work that we do with really high conflict marriages that have a lot of stuff going on that they need weeded through and worked out. We work with everything from mood disorders to adolescent issues. And instead of having one person that is really an expert in everything, what we have is a series of experts. We've got 6 or 7 of us in the office at any given time that will have an expertise in what you need. And so we can really help you with most anything. And it's the same old phone number I've had for a million years, 688-1111. And that's area code 435-688-1111. And I do appreciate the phone calls that we have had. Give us show topics if you want us to research something for you, or if you need to come in for some coaching or some therapy or mental health counseling, you can call us for that too, 435-688-1111. So we began this hour with the notion that trust is really on a metric that is mathematical in a sense, that is, you either work towards a trusting relationship or you work away from it, right? And some of the things that that we do in this. The first one I want to highlight, and I know I labor over this because it's such a hot topic, that there is literally facts available and opinions available. And the facts are really the truth of the circumstance. Picture we all look out a window right now, and it's in southern Utah, and we look out the window and we see a person on a mountain bike riding across the lawn of Dixie State University or wherever you're at. Picture a lawn. And this person is riding across the lawn in a red tank top and green shorts on a mountain bike. And I'm thinking to myself, doesn't that person have a job? It's like just barely after 5, and they look like they've been playing for quite a while. You might look out there and say, man, I would love to be riding a mountain bike right now. That looks so peaceful and relaxing. Another listener, old John Jellin, might be saying to himself, yeah, I can just imagine the chafing that's going on that mountain biker. I used to mountain bike a lot, and boy, that chafing just gets to you. And Stacy Peterson looks out and she says, it is way too hot to be out there on a mountain bike. They should live up in Salt Lake where it's a little cooler, maybe a little snow on the ground. See, we all have these different opinions. Every one of our thoughts that we have about that person on a mountain bike is an opinion, because there's no objective truth to it. There's only my truth, okay? There's the, I wonder why he doesn't have a job. I think he should have a job, and another person would think, no, I don't think he needs a job. I think that's peaceful, relaxing. Another person, oh, that's painful, the chafing. And another person, it's too hot. All of those things can be arguable, but what's the sense in arguing? What's more fun is to just understand each other's deeply held opinions. See, the deeper we hold these opinions, the more like truth or like fact they feel to us, but they are simply opinions. Now, if we take that same scene and we want to talk about facts, well, the only fact is that it's a mountain bike, he had on a red tank top and green shorts, and it was a man. See, those are the facts. And so besides those 4 facts, now, I guess you could argue the facts and say, well, we don't know it was a man. We could argue the facts and say, well, it's a mountain bike, but it's more of a hybrid, and give all technical terms. Sure, but those are the only facts. The rest of it is opinion, and so often we polarize each other, or we lose trust in each other, because we use our deeply held opinions as a club to beat up our partners with. Does that make sense? So as you have conversations, and this is a tough one, but let's use one that I had 2 different times today in couples work. And I get it. Some of you might think, oh, that's a silly thing to go to counseling for, but this is just the tip of the iceberg in some cases, where one person says, this husband looks at his wife and he says, you are always late. Like, you are the most irresponsible person in the universe because you are always late. Like, you can't be on time, and it makes me so angry. And then she looks at him and says, well, you are so angry about being on time that by the time we get somewhere, it's like everybody's like hurt, everybody's crying. They're a church-going couple, and she says, by the time we get to church and we walk into church, we're all traumatized because you're so angry about us being on time. We just as well not go. See, late or early, the only fact in that is the exact time on the clock that you walk in the door of a place. It's an opinion that you need to be there a certain minute before, or that it's really laissez-faire where it's okay when you get there because it's something that you should just enjoy, whatever the thing is. And some might say, well, it's a respect thing. It shows respect to be on time and not waste somebody's time. And another person says, well, it's respect to me too. And I get that some people are really tight on time. Well, they can just take my time away from me then. That's okay with me. See, the whole thing about opinions, the opinion is what you should do with an appointment time. It's all opinion, and we sometimes are so stuck. My father, his adage is, if you're 10 minutes early, you are already 20 minutes late, and he was a fanatic on that. He would be 30 minutes early to everything. When you're 10 minutes early, boy, you're already 20 minutes late. Just remember that. And he drove that home day after day after day. everything that I did was on the adage, if you're 10 minutes early, you're 20 minutes late, and I'm waiting for you, and I'm mad. And so being on time became a fear-based thing because of his opinion about time. Now, some of you are saying, oh, that's ridiculous, 10 minutes early, 20 minutes late. That's 30 whole minutes. You could do something in that 30 minutes. And what he'd say is that shows respect, and it means that you respect my time, and it means that you're there in plenty of time to get used to your surroundings, blah, 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 blah. He's got all the reasons, all the rationale, but he would not budge. That was a fact in his world, when in reality, that was just his opinion. And now another person, I've got people in my family that they don't factor in travel time. They don't factor in, they're just thinking, we'll get there. Don't worry about it. When we get there, we get there. And it works for them. It makes me nervous because I grew up with the other opinion. So these two warring opinions can drive trust away unless you sit with each other and talk. And maybe dad would explain to the person that, like, I just get really anxious when I'm not somewhere early enough that I can go in and make sure that I understand the surroundings, make sure I feel safe. That would make it more understandable versus, boy, he's a jerk. He's just angry about time. And the person that doesn't worry about the clock and time might say, the more I try to hold myself to this clock, this second by second, the more I don't like my life. I like to be respectful, and I like to make sure everyone knows that if I don't get my whole time with them because I'm late, that's okay with me. I'm willing to risk that. And I'll work on it. And see, if they just talk, they will come to a place where they can trust each other, at least know what the other has for intention. Because that intention piece is where trust is built. If everyone knows that the intention is good and that they're understanding each other and they're able to work out some healthy agreements on how to function together, now they might, maybe the two people, one's a timely person and one's always late, they might decide, hey, here's 4 things that I just really need you to give to me a strict, let's be on time. And then here's 10 or 11 things that I'm fine with being late with if I don't like it as much, but it's okay if you'll give me they can work like that together, but only when they start to empathize that there's more than one way to do things when we're dealing with opinion. Now, we can't lie and change the facts. We can't say, it's my opinion that gravity works. Watch me step off this 3-story building. No. See, gravity is a fact. It's going to happen. You're going to fall. You're going to go 2 stories down, and whatever's there, hope it's a swimming pool or a great big mattress, but whatever is there is going to hurt you if you fall off a 2-story building, because gravity's not an opinion. We can't have a fun negotiation about when gravity's going to work and when it's not, because that's a fact. We can't decide that the guy is not on a mountain bike, because he is. We can't decide that he's not wearing clothes. That sounds creepy, but he is. So the whole idea behind this fact and opinion is, let's not turn our opinions into facts and club each other with them. Let's really talk and explain ourselves and then negotiate with each other using this idea. Now, this is the key, this idea that there's always more than one way to behave and to pursue happiness and to get our needs met. There's millions of ways to get our needs met. And so if I'm of the opinion that breakfast should happen every morning, and it's the most important meal of the day, and I'm going to be angry if it doesn't happen. And if someone else's opinion is, I really just would like to blow through breakfast because my stomach doesn't feel like getting food in it early in the morning, I'll eat about 11. Well, they can work on that if they just talk and decide, well, I'll fix my own breakfast and then it's okay. And then we'll eat dinner and lunch together. That's fine. See, they just need to talk through it and not polarize and say, no, you have to eat breakfast and you have to make it for me, or you're never going to get breakfast because I don't love you enough to make it. It's all of that is how we really literally decrease trust in the relationship. And so relationships that are transparent, and that's a tough one for us. We talked about that last week. And relationships that have this metric of communication around opinions and not being so stuck in a position that we're unwilling to talk about the other one's point of view, and realizing that both points of view, when they're based upon opinion, have validity and have merit and have this this reality that they need to belong to. They need to join their opinions together to where they understand each other and really know each other. And as they do that, but they build this really strong connection. How many times have you said, I want more connection. I want more intimacy. I want to feel the connection. I want to feel like we're working together. See, that doesn't mean that you're exactly who I need you to be. The more connected I am with a person is not the more alike we are. The more connected I am to a person is the more I'm able to discuss with them our differences to where we have a mutual understanding of how we're going to behave together within our differences. And that's why I'm going to say this, and you're going to argue with me, maybe some of you, but that's why complaining is good. Did you know that? Did you know that it's good to complain in a marriage or in a relationship or even in a working relationship? Now, not nag and not whine. It's not, the whining's not good, and being a nagaholic is not good, or being a negaholic is not good, but complaining is fantastic. Now, why do I say complaining is fantastic? Well, when you complain is when you literally share your opinion about a circumstance. I don't know if, see, my wife's usually here, or you know, the girlfriend is here. Somebody's always here. Then nobody's here with me. I'm all alone today. And so she is maybe not listening, so I'm going to say this. So I'm going to complain to her in person. I just didn't want to do it behind her back. If she was here, I'd look at her and say it. She's got cubbies in her car, and they're stuffed with like loose papers, receipts and envelopes, and just kind of stuffed with stuff. And I'm there. I'm feeling like a little bit uncomfortable because it feels disorganized, and it just kind of makes me uncomfortable. Now, that's a complete opinion, because there's nothing about how she keeps her car that is incorrect or wrong or immoral or illegal or unethical. None of that. It's totally okay, and it's totally fine. But my opinion is it just makes me feel nervous. And so I don't want to open things because I want to throw stuff away and clean it out. Or I don't want to look in the little door jams because I'll want to like scoop everything out and throw it in a garbage bag and throw it away. And sometimes I'll want to say something like, oh, my word, do you ever clean the inside of your car? And make statements like that. See, when you do things like that, you erode trust. You're picking on them. But what if I said, hey, let's talk about this, because I've got this weird kind of anxious feeling sitting in your car, and we're going to be spending like 4 hours driving to Salt Lake in it, and I can handle it, but it feels weird. It feels anxious. I'm owning it. It's all me. And I'd like to take a little garbage bag and clean all these little cubbies out and get all this stuff put in one place and throw it in a dumpster with that. What do you think about that? Because it's making me nervous for some reason. See, I'm not saying you're a mess. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm right. I'm sharing a position. And she might say, well, honestly, that's how I organize my stuff. I know where the stuff that I have is. I know where I know where everything is that I keep. I've got my receipts for the bank there. I've got my deposits for the business there. And she kind of has this real logical way that she has everything kind of held. Hey, here's the receipts I need to turn in for my church job and things like that. So she's got a place for everything, and she doesn't want it messed with, and it's her car. And so now I understand that it's actually not chaos. It's organized her way. And so we will probably, it's her car. She gets to keep it how she wants. I understand it's organized her way, and so I can take a deep breath and manage it. Now, if it was just chaotic and messy, she might say, yeah, I just haven't had time to, and it's not that important to me. But if it's that important to you, go ahead and clean it up. But complaining got us there. Me just complaining, but complaining with I statements, not you statements. Like you always or you never, that's not complaining. That's nagging and whining. That's blaming. But I feel and I wonder and I want and I'm questioning, those are really good complaining words because you're owning the process. Does that click for all of you? And so part of this sharing of opinion is realizing it's your opinion, and so own it as mine. As I would say, hey, I have this opinion that this social media stuff's hard to manage. And the fact that it's hard to manage is because there's all kinds of things to plug in. There's all kinds of, and none of it really makes sense to me. Now, Sean, the GM here, he can walk in and it makes perfect sense to him. He just clicks a few buttons and everything works. See, he could have had my live Facebook feed going right through this microphone instead of it bouncing back and forth off the screen. Hopefully, coming in clear enough that I can make it a video later. But the idea is he knows how to do it. He can do it smoothly and easily. I'm still learning, and that's how we deal with life in general. There's a learning curve, and there's ways that that we catch on, ways that we need to learn and grow. And that's really where we're at with stuff now. Speaking of Chris, here she comes, and I'm hoping she didn't just hear that last little segment, but we'll find out in just a moment by the expression on her face. But welcome her to the show. This is, by the way, Dr. Matt Eschler with a Southern Utah counseling experience, and we have recently merged with St. George Center for Couples and Families, and you can reach us at 435-688-1111. We have a counselor for anything you might need. We have a life coach for everything else. There is a ton of stuff that we do. We work with marriages. We work with domestic violence, substance dependence, substance abuse. We work with mood disorders. Just about anything you can think of, we have an expert there, and we've got a person that's in charge of an area that really drills down on their expertise in that area, and we can get you connected with them and help you out with any counseling needs that you might have. So in this idea of building your trust through a metric, there's some things that we can do that erode trust, and I wrote down 5 of them. These are things that you can do if you decide, I'm tired of being trusted by this person, so I'm going to ruin it. Not sure why you would ever want to ruin trust with someone, but if you want to ruin trust, these are definitely things that I hear on a daily basis from couple after couple when they talk about things that erode the trust metric in their life with their lovers. And part of what these 5 are is we do them sometimes as a defense mechanism. And so we're thinking that we're protecting ourselves when really what we're doing is hurting ourselves by training the people that we love not to trust us as much, rather than teaching them a lesson like we're in some kind of hostility thinking that we're doing. So the first one, if I'm going to label it turning away from your person's sadness. So let's say you're a married guy and you are walking by your master bathroom and you see your honey in there kind of combing her hair, and she has a really sad look on her face, and you think maybe you can tell that she's been crying just a little bit, and you think to yourself, ooh, kind of wanted a peaceful evening, so I think I'm gonna just kind of tiptoe out of the room and I'm not gonna ask her what's going on. So you turn around stealthily and you tiptoe out of the room, and you just go to the other room, the other end of the house, and you hope she gets herself through it because you don't want to deal with it. See, you just did a huge step of eroding trust because you don't have her back, you're not there for her. And this is something that I think we probably, most all of us do at one time or another, because we're selfish by nature at times, and sometimes we don't think we know what to do. But let me just tell you that if you turn away and you try to sneak away, or you even sometimes in an aggressive way, you deal with it, it's your problem, and you storm away, that's all turning away from your partner's or your lover's sadness. And that sends this huge message that you're really not invested enough in the trusting relationship to care if they hurt. And I'm telling you, the same can be true when they're having a real happy moment and you don't want to be involved in it. You just kind of avoid that. We're going to get to that. But the idea of turning away from sadness is a don't have your back moment. Now imagine the difference if you see that and you go right to her, you take her in your arms and you say, hey, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. I want to hear it from you. And then you let them talk, and then you share some empathy by mirroring back what you heard so that you know that they know you understand them. That's important. Now, sometimes people get caught up in this, I want to fix it, and I just challenge you guys that do that, don't try to fix it unless you're asked to. Like, hey, can you give me a suggestion of how to get out of this? Then dive in with your suggestions, but mostly just make sure they know that you heard them and understand them. Now, we are all at some level of 1 to 10 of being really expert at doing this. I'm probably a 3 on the 10 scale. I get that. But the idea of turning towards and constantly building that muscle of being empathic, of being able to go in headlong into your relationship and be wide open, vulnerable for experiencing their sad with them, experiencing their frustration with them. And if it's you that's made them sad, sometimes that can be even more difficult. If you've done some harm in your relationship, and if part of the relationship dilemma is to repair, then sometimes dealing with that sad when it's caused by you is really something that you want to avoid, and you really ought not to avoid it. And so the idea is not turning away from that. So you understand that that's a way to erode trust. Now, you might be thinking, well, if she doesn't see me and I get away, how does that erode trust? Well, she experienced all that sad, or he experienced all that sad by him or herself, and they know they've got a partner. They know they've got a lover that just wasn't available. And I think they know at some level that they're being avoided if you do that, because you probably do that enough that it feels like you're avoiding. It'll catch up with you. My challenge is to always run headlong into it. Like if you have a loved one in a house that's burning down, you would run into the house and pull them out. You wouldn't just stand out there and say, nah, I don't want to get my shoes all black soot covered, and so I'm not going to run in there. You wouldn't do that. If you do, then you shouldn't be in that relationship at all. The second one of the 5 is thinking to yourself, now, this is going to sound horrible. And there's different language that you'll use with yourself, but if you start catching yourself having these little naughty thoughts that you can do better than this relationship, if you've got there, you're not working on trust. You're working on an exit strategy. If you think I can do better, I don't deserve this. This isn't. It's really really the beginnings of contempt in a relationship. And I've got people that come in, and there's been struggles in the marriage. There's been struggles in the relationship. There's been, things that are chronically going wrong, and they start to think, man, if I was just someone that knew me a little bit better, if I was just with someone that wanted to be with me a little bit more, I could be so much happier. And what I'm suggesting is, yeah, they're right. If you're with someone that knows you and that wants to know you better and wants to work with you a little harder, then you will be happier. But here's the caveat to that is you're part of that equation. Now, bear with me for a second. Like, 2 people sit on a couch of a therapist and they say, we just think we don't connect, we don't understand, we don't empathize with each other, we don't work well with each other, we don't trust each other. We think if we separate and divorce, we can go find somebody that will be more able to connect with us, more able to really feel at a deeper level with us, and we'll be happier. And I'd suggest to them that you're right. You're right. If that's the truth about you two, that would be one answer. And then I'll suggest that you got to remember one thing, though, is that both of you will take half of this equation into another relationship. And if you don't change your side of the street on not connecting, if you don't look at least what is your role in it, then you're going to take it to the next relationship. And probably, it's great for me because I'll end up with 4 people back in my office, not 2. And so I get more, more sessions, more income. But for you, you probably thought you would avoid this challenge, and you don't avoid challenges. So why not take a moment and see if there's a chance that if you both fix your part of the problem, if you both stay on your side of the street, work your side of the problem, stop blaming the other for the problem and start looking at you and saying, okay, this is what I need to do instead of I know what you need to do. Key language there, people. Know what you need to do. Don't know what your lover needs to do. That's the key. So start thinking in those terms of like, okay, I had this fight or I felt this betrayal. What's my role in it? And if you two stay together long enough to explore what you do that's harmful so that you don't take it into the next relationship and just practice with each other for a while, you'll either fall deeply in love with each other and it'll save the marriage and you'll keep a family together, or you'll polarize worse because you'll realize that you really aren't good together. You really are toxic. You really are unable. And I got to tell you, in 30 years of doing marriage counseling, I haven't met too many couples that couldn't work and couldn't be that connected and that good if both of them would just decide to fix themselves and work with their lover in a healthy way to make them better. Really serve each other and fix yourself, okay? So as I challenge people to serve each other but fix their own issues, they tend to grow together, connect, and then realize that, hey, we're pretty good at this together. We're not that toxic. We're not as toxic as maybe I had originally thought. So instead of thinking I can do better and I'm out of here and I'm going to go do something else, take a second and pause and just wonder what you're doing that's making that happen. What is it that you're doing that polarizes the one that you loved away? And as you do that, you'll come up with some answers there that I hope will help. Now, one of the other things that is the third one, and I've already kind of mentioned this one just a little bit, it's this rapid movement towards contempt for each other. Do you know Dr. John Gottman did this 30-year study? It's been 40 years now. It's another 10 years of research that he's dug in to see if he's right. And he still proves out to be correct in much of, I believe, all of his research. This one key is he wondered what is the number one cause of divorce, because most people would say like money or infidelity. Another huge cause of divorce is arguing and addiction. And he really realized that none of those things are the top cause of divorce. In fact, money and infidelity aren't even in the top three. It's people generally can learn some skills and get through those things. And I'm not saying that makes those things easier, nicer, go ahead and do them because they're not that big a deal. Right. What it means is that they're not what caused divorce. And he determined that contempt is the number one cause of divorce. Contempt for each other. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, I don't need this crap. I don't need this. I don't need to put up with this woman. I don't need to put up with this man and his stuff. See, you're moving yourself quickly towards contempt for him. And what we want to do is not move towards contempt for our lovers. We want to move towards love. We want to move towards this clear connection where we feel that deep connection, that deep mutual understanding, that deep trust. And if your mindset is, I don't need to put up with her crap, or I don't need to put up with his shenanigans anymore, we're not thinking about a discussion of opinion. What we've decided is that we hold that person in contempt and we dig that trench so deep that sometimes it's difficult to get out. I had a client about a month ago that boldly said, therapy's not going to work. This counseling isn't going to work because I already know I'm out of here. I already know that I can't stand this person. And I said, well, why are you here then? And he said, I want to say to my kids that I tried everything. And so I really looked, I said, okay, you tried it. Well, let's end and go ahead and pay your fee on your way out. And he said, well, wait a minute, we've only been here 3 minutes. And I go, yeah, but you just said that you're really already done and you're out. This is just a hoop to jump through. I'm making it a really 3-minute hoop, not a 60-minute hoop, because you've accomplished your task. You came to therapy. You can say, I went to therapy. Well, no, we want to do therapy. We want to do the therapy. I go, oh, okay. So here's step 1. Are you ready? And I go, this is a clear step, but it's an easy one. It's an easy one, but you have to do it. And he goes, okay, what is it? And I go, if you don't do this step, then your therapy's done because you've stated that you just needed to get here and jump through the hoop. But if you want to do this one thing, then we'll carry on and do the counseling. And he goes, okay, what is it? You got to take off the table that you're done. You got to say, I'm in 100%. I am going to find the love that I had for this woman, and I'm going to connect with her, and I'm going to participate in the homework assignments. I'm going to participate in the counseling with the mindset that I'm going to find the love that I want to stay in this marriage. And he goes, well, I don't think I can do that. And I go, I know you can. I just don't know if you will. And he thought about it, and he decided to do it. And that's been about a month, and he's doing actually surprisingly well. So the point is that if you hold someone in contempt and try to stay in the relationship, really you're doing it for another reason besides love. You're doing it for another reason besides a hope for a future of healthy connection and passion and sex and all of that. You really throw that off the table if you hold them in contempt and are out. And so the hope is that you'll look at your side of the street, you'll decide to clear out the contempt and get rid of some of the language of contempt, get rid of some of the language that erodes trust. Because if you say you're done, the other person won't trust that you're going to have their back if they need you. The third one I'm always talking about, the third one that comes into mind, maybe it's the fourth one, it's when you say, I'm always dealing with blah, 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 whatever it is, or I'm never able to, and you start globalizing your independent experience, the singular experience that you're having right now that maybe you've had 28 times before, but you start using the language of always and never, and it's a negative connotation, then what you're doing is eroding trust, because immediately the person you're talking to is going to start thinking of times that contradict that always or never statement. And it's just never healthy, because it'll cause a fight, and it'll always be a fight that you'll both lose, because you can always cite instances that hurt you, and this other person can always cite instances that should have made you feel better. But where do you go? You go into this lateral keep score relationship where, well, I did 12 things right, and, well, you did 13 things wrong, and so now you're one deficit. So I hurry and do something right. Okay, we're even. And so we just keep going like that. That's really no way to have a relationship. And so it literally erodes trust away when you globalize your negative experience. And so the hope is that you will, the antidote to that is anytime you want to share a critique, like if the critique is you don't have my back, you're not my friend, then you have to share 5 things that you love about the person, that you have hope in the person. Or if you don't do that, and if you can't do that, then you need some coaching, because there's something going on. And maybe it's that the relationship is so toxic that it's just not working, or maybe there's skills that need to be learned. But the idea is instead of always or never, if you could, hey, here's 4 or 5 things that I completely am jazzed about, and I wonder if we could take a look at this one. This one's kind of big and it hurts, but I want you to remember there is these good things. There's these things that are redeeming us, these things that are making us whole. But let's work on the one thing that's starting to erode trust. And then the final one, that if you want to really kill trust, is you just stop investing. Just decide, this relationship, I'm going to give it no more energy, no more investment, and it'll slowly die. And when it's dead, I can say I tried. This not investing is going to be one that you really have to be careful of, because it's a sneaky one. You can subtly just decide to not care if you hurt the other one's feelings. You can decide to not care if you communicate, and not care if you come home after work, not care if you, instead of aching to be with each other, you might just stop caring whether or not you're with each other or not. Just, one way or the other, whatever. And it's that indifference that erodes trust. So the idea behind that one is to generate care, generate investment by serving. And the only way to do that, really, if you think about it, is to literally know the other person's needs and to serve them. Find a way to meet their needs. Find a way to go out of your way to make something right or make something nice for them. And then that helps them notice you. That helps them appreciate you and your existence. It also helps you get outside of yourself and feel good about another person's good feelings. Just a cute text can make the world of a difference. Just a cute little email can make a world of a difference. And so there's so many ways to make that part of investment good. But I got to back up for just a second, because there's times that we just don't know our partner's needs. And so part of this key to making things right in service is to really understand that we all have needs. And I'm going to give you just a quick sidebar into needs. And I've just decided next week's show, we're going to do that, the whole show, because there's some real keys to knowing the needs of our lovers, and to know how to really meet those needs in a healthy way rather than just think we know what we're doing. So needs are these things that happen around us or to us or we do, and it just creates a moment to laugh, a moment of lightheartedness, a happy, peace-filled moment. When you ask people what really drives joy and what's important to them, they really say, peace, happiness, joy. Those are some key words that I hear all the time. And so we're all after that. And rarely do I hear money. I did hear, I can't remember who said it, but if I ride up to my sad problems in a Rolls Royce with $500,000 in my bank account, I am happier than the guy that has to walk to his problems. So I guess money can help with a little bit, but really joy and peace are what we want. And what creates that? And so many times we have these different needs. Like one of my needs is I really, 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 really love to be complimented. Like I like words of affirmation. And my lover, what she wants, what she really, 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 really likes is physical attention. Like she likes a lot of physical touch. She likes physical intimacy. She likes all of that stuff. And so if I'm thinking all I got to do is compliment her a whole bunch and I never touch her, she starts to feel a little bit maybe blue and maybe a little bit like I'm not connecting. And so she starts to maybe be a little standoffish. I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm doing this all the time. And really, I'm just assuming I know what she needs. But what if I asked her, say, hey, what's going on here? And she goes, well, you never grab my hand and hold it. You never give me a side squeeze or a full-on bear hug. And I didn't know that was important. And she goes, well, that's one of my main needs. And I'm like, well, I thought you just loved compliments. She goes, no, that's you that likes compliments. See, if you don't talk with each other, you might miss the needs. And we just template people like, well, if I like it, she must like it. And so really to talk about our needs and to talk with each other about how to meet those needs and how to define the needs and how each other looks at our needs differently. Because again, back to that very first statement, needs are opinion-based. There's no rules to them. There's no facts. The fact is, words of affirmation is a fact. It's my opinion that I need it. It's my opinion that it drives happiness up. It doesn't mean that it drives everybody's happiness up. Does that make sense? And so we want to understand that about each other and work through that with each other. So one final comment. We're talking about trust and happiness. And so this idea, we've talked about the metric of trust throughout the show. We've talked about ways to increase trust through turning toward each other, have each other's back. And I'm talking relationships specifically. We've talked about this need for really explaining ourselves and giving each other time and place to talk about our opinions and not treating our personal opinions as if they're facts that we club each other with. We've talked about how this mutual sharing of opinion and coming to agreements together to make the relationship work is healthy. We've talked about ways to erode trust as a turning away and really building this shield of contempt so that we can protect our hearts and not be vulnerable. And the final thing I want to toss out there, by the way, Dr. Matt Eschler here, coming to you live from KDXI 100.3. Give me a call anytime, 435-688-1111. And just tell the person that you talk to or leave a message that you would like to give us a show topic to study. Give us a compliment. If you have negative things to say, don't call that number, call the college, and they'll take care of all complaints. So there you go. Ooh, I don't know if I should have said that. But anyway, that's what we're talking about. So the final thing before we end the show is some couples are in conflict because they have this belief that they're different, that their dreams, the things that they have as their dream, their purpose, their hope for this life stands in conflict with the ones that they love. And there are times where that very much could be true, that our dreams are in conflict, but it is so rare. And if they are, it generally just means that that this couple hasn't talked enough. They haven't expressed their dreams to each other enough. And so I'm going to give you two suggestions. When you feel like your marriage relationship or your relationships that you have with your kids, with coworkers even, If your dreams are in conflict, or you have this belief that you have this such a different dream, that you're polarizing each other, that you're feeling like you're not willing to be vulnerable with each other, the very best thing to do is to go the opposite direction. Be vulnerable. Be willing to open up and share your dream. And on the other side of the street, be willing to listen completely to a person's dream, their hopes, the things that they believe will make them happy. And then when you really do understand them, ask them to take time to hear yours. And when you're both done with this whole mutual sharing of your dream, of your hope, of your future fantasy, the fantasy question of what would make your life awesome, I'll bet you find enough intersecting points that you can get along wonderfully. Too often, we believe it's a zero-sum game, that if I get my dream, you don't get yours. And I've been doing marriage counseling for nearly 30 years, and it's just not true. It's just not true. Two people can get 100% of their dream in this life. And literally all they need to do is express it clearly, ask for their needs to get met clearly. Don't play games with it. Don't hide and seek it. Don't hope that somebody just understands you. Communicate and find that intersection of where you're both on the same page and do those things together. And then where you're not quite in the same place in desire, then have mutual support. Like, I'll support my wife in doing things that she wants to do, and she'll support me in doing the things that I want to do. And we find this place where we're getting our dreams met a lot of times together. And when we're not together, we know we have the support of our lover. And so there's my challenge to you. We're going to end the show at this time. We need to end because we are going to the Spanish guys. And so they're getting ready to come on live, right? They're not live. They're going to come on a recorded station right now, and I'm going to get that set up for you. So this is Dr. Matt Eschler, and I will see you in a week. We're going to talk about our governing purpose and needs next Friday. We will see you then.